Unwinding in a coffee shop after a hard day's work, these young men are enjoying each other's company as they have always done. Three years ago, things were different. The country was in political and economic turmoil. It was the beginning of the so-called Arab Spring, which left more than 300 people dead and thousands more wounded. They all passionately participated in the demonstrations and protests that captured the world's headlines as Tunisians demanded a better life. But for 23-year-old Rachid Belabi, it has not been the kind of change he was expecting. His life's dreams were shattered when he was shot 3 times during the protests and left for dead.
بعد 13 جان في 2011 تغيرت حياتي يعني تقلبت جملة يعني متصور يعني إنسان كنت يعني عمري 20 سنة كنت نقرأ كان عندي مستقبل كان عندي حلم يعني حلم إني نحب نوصله بعد 13 جانفي ملي تضربت يعني تغيرت حالتي الصحية وليت مقعد وليت في كروسة يعني وليت يعني حاجات أخرى نسعى لها في حياتي وليت نسعى لصحتي نسعى باش نرجع لاباس عليا اللي هي لحد الآن يعني صحتي الحمد لله فما تقدم يعني في حالتي ما إن شاء الله نسعى إني نولي خير يعني باش نرجع لحياتي العادية.
A bullet went through his throat and another into his rib cage and out through his spine. After the shooting incident, Rachid received financial compensation of 6,000 Tunisian dinars, equivalent to €3,000, from the government. This amount, however, proved insufficient to cover Rachid's health care. Well-wishers supported him for the much-needed health care locally and abroad. He was taken to France and later Germany, where he remained in hospital for a total of 6 months, surviving 7 operations. It has been a long road to recovery. Rachid's condition not only affected him but his entire family. To get to the cafe, for instance, he is wheeled by his brother. Rachid, a trained mechanic, cannot even perform the simplest of tasks for himself anymore. His mother has to help him to the bathroom.
رأسا على عقب معناها عائلة كاملة تغيرت حياتنا عائلة كاملة معناها كنا عايشين أنا عندي 5 صغار 4 أولاد وبنية من العائلات التونسية البسيطة معناها عايشين حياتنا عادية على الآخر برغم ضيق المكان اللي نسكنوا فيه كانت محبة كبيرة بيناتنا ومعناها عايشين عادي على الآخر. الحادثة اللي صارت لنا 13 جانفي 2011 قلبت العائلة كاملة بالطموح بالأفكار بأي حاجة يتصورها إنسان كل شيء تقلب في حياتنا معناها كان إنسان يطمح 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 بعد تالي طموحه كلها.
Layla is bitter about the failure of the authorities to support families who suffered during the protests. She notes that there are many other cases like her son's, saying all they are asking for is to know the truth of what happened and to get justice. This call for truth has resounded throughout Tunisia. The United Nations Human Rights Office has been facilitating national discussions among various stakeholders, including victims of past human rights abuses, civil society organizations and the government, to set in place a transitional justice process.
The process is first to seek the truth, to see what has been happening in this country, the grave violations of human rights for the last 50 years. And then to prosecute those who are responsible for these grave violations. Further, to give reparations to those who have suffered, the victims of this process. And finally, to seek reconciliation. This is the ultimate outcome that we are searching in this process.
Acknowledging that the process of seeking the truth is delicate, the head of the UN Rights Office in Tunisia says it is an essential precondition for progress, but he is emphatic that Tunisians need to embrace and own the process. A draft law on transitional justice has been tabled in the National Assembly. but it is yet to be passed. The government is, however, optimistic that the law will eventually be adopted.
سعي الحكومة إلى التوافق في هذا المسار بدأ منذ فترة ومنذ الأيام الأولى لهذه الحكومة، وذلك عن طريق صياغة تصور ومسار العدالة الانتقالية يشارك فيه الجميع. نحن أطلقنا حوارا وطنيا قمنا بحوار وطني واسع في خصوص العدالة الانتقالية، ورصدنا تقريبا آراء جميع المتداخلين في هذا الموضوع، ومن هذه الحوارات
The envisaged Truth and Dignity Commission, modelled on similar bodies set up in different parts of the world, will address human rights violations dating back to 1955, a year before Tunisia attained independence. In the meantime, many Tunisians, including Rashid and other victims, are hoping to uncover the truth through forums, such as this one organised by the UN Human Rights Office alongside its partners. Victims gathered here are clamouring for truth, justice and reparations, and advocating for the adoption of a comprehensive transitional justice law. Hussein Bouchiba, a mathematics high school teacher, was imprisoned for more than 2 years in the early 90s for allegedly writing an inciting article.
قضيت ستة أشهر ثم 2 وتقريبا 8 سنوات في الاختفاء.
There are thought to be other similar cases, some in court, others undocumented. Leila Haddad is a lawyer. She single-handedly is representing more than 2,000 of the injured victims from the uprising. She is pessimistic about the outcome.
أمالي ضعيفة وضعيفة جدا، على اعتبار أن أغلب القضايا 80% من هذه القضايا تم غلقها لعدم معرفة الجاني.
These victims' hopes now lie with the new proposed law or the establishment of a Truth and Justice Reconciliation Commission.
أما حقي طول إني نطالب بالعلاج، إني نحب نعالج، نحب نوصل أقصى حد في العلاج متاعي، فهمتني؟ إن شاء الله نحب نرجع نمشي على ساقية، فهمتني؟ هذاك اللي نحب نسعى له، أول حاجة نسعى لها. ثاني حاجة نسعى إنه نلقى حقي، نلقى حقي، اللي الإنسان اللي ضربني نحبه يتحاكم، اللي حب يقتلني بغير الرحمة نحبه، نحب الراه قاعد يتحاسب، قاعد يحاسبوا فيه على الغلطة متاعه، خاطر إني إنسان تظلمت.
Rashid claims he was shot by a policeman who now walks freely, but he remains steadfast in his quest for justice.